my friends, and welcome to episode 60 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudius Pera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
If you're a Kiss fan, it's a guarantee that your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook feeds have been inundated with everything Creatures Fest. I mean, I haven't seen this much excitement since the Kiss Cruise. And how can a fan not be excited? Here is an event with Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, Bruce Kulick, and Vinnie Vincent. Add to that, John Corabi, Quarantine, and a host of other bands. We're talking meet and greets, pool parties, a recreation of Unplugged, and of course, plenty of merch to sell.
So the recent success of Creatures Fest is a tribute not only to Neil Davis, but, a tireless hard work of its organizers. So Jay Jadofsky is one of them. And for those of us who didn't have the chance, the opportunity to be at the event, Jay will give us an overview of the events that actually made Creatures Fest a huge success. Kiss Army Nation, please welcome Jay Jadofsky.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks, Pasquale.
So before we start the show, I just want to give a shout out to your host, Claudio Spira, who is presently right now in France on a family vacation. And it's now 1:00 in the morning.
That's right. That's right.
He still wanted to do this podcast. That is awesome. That is dedication.
There you go. That's love and passion, man. We will always be here. Always, always, always. So nice. I was so looking forward for this episode with Jay and, of course, with you, Pas. So I couldn't say no. I couldn't.
No, really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So let's get this show on the road. Jay, it's going to be our intention to have you back on the show for a fan profile episode because really you are a huge part of Kisstory. And I know personally that you have a lot of amazing stories to tell. But like we said in the intro, for this episode, we're going to focus on your experiences because you were there at Creatures Fest. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't want our listeners to learn a little bit about you. So let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a Kiss fan and why is Kiss so important to you?
I became a Kiss fan, summer of 1975, I think, 75, 76. The schools in Milwaukee, the teachers said, screw this, we're going on strike. And they went on strike, but some of the teachers had integrity and said, no, we're not. And our parents, some of them anyway, didn't want us at home. So they said, you're going to school. And we would say, but they're on strike. And they'd say, yes, but your teacher is there, you're going. So we went. And because of that, during the strike, the class rules were a little more lax. Our teacher, David Kulikowski, probably one of the biggest influences on my life as far as teachers go. He broke everything down. You still had some lessons, math, reading, etc. But the second half of the day was all about loosening up. And one of the things that we did during that time was you were allowed to bring in a record, a movie, a book, and share it with everybody. And one kid, Stephen Nykaus, brought in Kiss Alive. And understood up to this point, all I'd ever heard of Kiss was, Rock and Roll All Night. And I knew nothing about what they looked like. It was just, hey, this is a cool song. Saw the record, he played a few songs, and once I heard Deuce and Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Let Me Go Rock and Roll was the thing that cinched it for me. It's like, okay, this doesn't suck. So from there, it was about a year later when I got Rock and Roll Over for my birthday. And from it just grew. Once The Elder hit, and I was a record that I actually, at that age, totally identified with. I'm sorry to those who didn't and still think it's horrible. It's not. It's good. Mm. And it has just built the fandom from there. It became going to the concerts and meeting people that I'd only see once a year at these shows and watching the crowds dwindle from 20, 30, 40,000 people to 4,000 people during once Lick It Up came out. It became a much smaller crowd, and it became much smaller. I know you, I've seen you, and then you'd see somebody on the street walking on the street. Hey, just shout out. It's Kiss is a thing that gets inside you. Mm-hmm. You identify with the songs, you identify with what people are saying, and I'm most identified with Gene because he was not writing about things that didn't make sense to me. He was, you had songs like that was probably the thing that grabbed me the most, because again, at a time when you're a teen and you're in high school and life can be very sucky, that became my mantra. That song became my mantra. And it, from there it was nonstop.
Awesome. Now we're going to be talking about Creatures Fest in a few minutes, but leading to Creatures Fest, you're known for organizing parties yourself, these huge events yourself. You've organized quite a few pre-Kiss Cruise parties. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know how those began with the very first Kiss Cruise in 2011. It was just a simple gathering at the Hard Rock Miami. Everybody came together because we didn't know each other, and it just sort of grew into a annual thing. The Kiss Cruise 3 was really the big thing that got this all rolling. I mean, the pre-party, you were involved with that. You and Anthony Laurel were literally my right-hand man. I couldn't have done that without you guys. And that was a 12-hour event that kind of killed us all in the end. But the 8 months leading up to that we're all working on it, and some of us, sometimes you, me, and Anthony, and then a few others, I think Dan Garreton was involved with that too, and it was becoming 8 hours a day at work and another 8 or 12 at night, every day. It's a labor of love, and the concept behind that first massive party was, we have all these people in town who are Kiss fans. Let's give them a show, and let's do something positive with all the money that they're spending. Let's bring this army together and get them to come here. We'll donate the money to charity. Nobody got paid for that, except for Bob Kulick and a few of the talent that we brought in, because they don't work for free. They should.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, we all did it for free, and in the end, we turned over $14,000 to Sophie's charity. Mm-hmm. Our charity that year was Sophie Simmons, the Surrey Center for Abused Children.
Yeah.
And then we just did another one every year after that until 2016. Yeah, I think 2016 was our very last one. Before it, we had the year that they did Vinnie in 2017, and then New Orleans in 2018. And we tried to do New Orleans for a pre-party, but you know how it is. Kids are our focus, and New Orleans is so not a kid-friendly town. Mm-hmm. So finding a venue for kids that could go in just didn't happen. Then came Cruise Fest. That was sort of, it snowballed. Cruise Fest snowballed. Initially, it was just Neil Davis and Joe. And then I was called, and because there had been some problems, for want of a better phrase, previously, we kind of worked all that out, and I was invited to take part in it, and it just became this huge thing where, Ace was a headliner. We had Sebastian Bach, and ticket sales were pretty good. The show was amazing, and everybody was saying, how are you going to raise the bar on this? You guys had Ace Frehley. How do you raise the bar on this? And now we have Creatures Fest, and you have your answer.
It's really incredible what fans could organize. And, if you put a bunch of passionate Kiss fans together, they can literally create magic. And a lot of what you've done, Jay, with your shows, with Cruise Fest and all of this, is just pure magic. And I'm happy to be involved in the next one. Claudia and I are going to be going on the Kiss Cruise. I talked to Joe. I wanted to help out. I haven't gone on Kiss Cruise since Kiss Cruise 5, and I definitely want to be a part of something special. So glad to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, Cruise Fest is going to be amazing. It really is. I can't say enough good things about Joe. He will make this what people want to see during that time. I'll be there, so
Yeah, no doubt it's going to be special.
Oh, absolutely. He's got a great team backing him up, and you're on that team, so I know it's going to be a successful.
So now jump to the present or the past. How did you get involved with Creatures Fest?
Really, Neil had just called me one night to say, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing something with Vinnie. What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I've done some of his shows in excuse me, in Nashville, and he is in a much better place now. What's the worst you can do? Go talk to him, see what he says." And then 2 months later, it's like, "Hey, I'm doing the show with Vinnie now. I'm definitely doing it. What do we go from here? How do we do this?" Got me ideas, and we just started bouncing ideas off each other, and it became, let's do this small. Initially, it was just going to be about Vinnie, and then interest peaked, and it was okay. So let's see if we can get Ace to come. And then it was okay. We got Ace. Wonder if we can get Bruce. So he reached out to Bruce and got Bruce. And then it became, what if we get Peter? Can we get Peter?
Wow.
What if we get Peter? And sure enough, you know, Neil worked his magic. I called him the great communicator because when he talks to these people, he is able to be a sort of a human version of a glue stick. He makes stuff come together.
Mhm.
And he made that happen. And ultimately, you saw what the end result was. You had all you know, Vinny and Ace and Bruce all on stage at once. And Peter joined Ace and Bruce. And how much better can you get? How many Kiss fans' wishes were made during the course of Creatures Fest?
Yeah. We were talking off air about, you know, all the promos leading up to Creatures Fest. I couldn't keep up with everything that was happening, all the announcements. Every second day was a huge announcement. And I was just a spectator. I can imagine the organizers trying to pull this thing off. What
Oh
an
my God.
undertaking.
Well, so that's one of the things that drives me nuts about Neil, is he will make these announcements, but he won't tell us he's about to make them.
Right.
So he goes online, and Rosie and I are like, wait, did Neil just go live? And I'm going, maybe, let me look. And we go look, and he's out there doing this announcement. We're like, okay, so he's telling everybody about this now. Yay!
Yeah.
And then all the messages would start flowing into the Expo info email box, and then the Creatures Fest at Gmail box, and we just pick right up and roll with it. You know, it was very cool to watch the level of excitement just growing and growing and growing with each new announcement. Even if we didn't know about them, which I think Neil did on purpose just to mess with our heads.
Yeah.
But it was great.
And what was your particular role as an organizer for Cruise Fest?
A little bit of everything. Initially, it was more of ideas and how do we do this, how do we do that. Then it became, okay, we're going to do an expo. How do you want to do that? And then Peter Corey was working on that with us as well. And it snowballed from a teeny tiny expo. We don't really want a lot of tables to, we've got an entire building for it. Let's do that. And we started selling tables. And so, you know, initially it was a little bit of everything. Some minor work with talent. Most of it was really the concept of getting people in, handling social media, handling the web pages, doing all the emails back and forth, everything that was thrown at me and Rosie, we would just roll with it, do whatever was asked.
Incredible.
Hey, you know, Jay, this is, you know, this huge undertaking. It's a dream for every Kiss fan. And, you know, I just wanted to congratulate you guys, you know, for the whole team, because what you guys did was amazing. And as Paz was saying, this, you know, the past weekend was a dream for all of us. You know, we were all connected and, you know, watching what was happening, and, you know, and even though there were some, of course, there's nothing like being there, but it felt like family again, you know, and watching, you know, Vinnie, Peter, Ace, and Bruce in the same, you know, place at the same time. It's unbelievable. Hey, but Jay, I wanted to ask you, what were some of your personal challenges as an organizer of Creatures Fest?
Communication. And Pasquale knows this about me, is I value communication above all else when we do these things. If you don't have proper communication, things crash and burn. And I don't like getting burned. That is the end result. So trying to keep communication flowing and trying to get answers. And when you have a team that's comprised of as many people as Creatures Fest ultimately was, that was a challenge. Making sure everybody was on the same page, and that if they were on the same page, they were reading the same freaking paragraph.
And, you know, another question that I had actually that touches on Vinnie, what can you tell us about your experiences on working with Vinnie on his new album? We saw some post on Facebook, you know, and actually you guys you went live for quite a while with Neil. So what can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, Neil was the one who worked with Vinnie on the album. We were there for the listening party, not the release party. The release party is different. This was a listening party where Vinnie played the contents of the album in a studio. We got to hear that. We got to hear him blow out speakers, which was, you know, pretty typical for a couple songs. First song in actually was like, okay, we lost a speaker. and everybody's looking around. Where did it go? Oh, okay, no speaker. So it took him a while to rewire things and get a new speaker going. The songs on that album are absolutely phenomenal. I could not, and I know if Vinny watches this, he's gonna say, oh, no, there's stuff there. But I'm telling you, I heard no flaws. It was a flawless piece of art to me, absolutely flawless. And I don't say that about many things. The Elder and Revenge are about the only two Kiss records I can ever say were absolutely flawless to me.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
We were all there listening to it. We got to hear each song, and in between each song, Vinny would tell a story about what brought that song on, what went into mixing it, and how the process was, how his process is. And honest to God, when he was talking about those things, you could almost see those gears turning in his head as he was describing how
Really?
he did it. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Vinny is, I hesitate to use the word genius because people look at that and go, nah, that's just too strong a word. But the man knows his stuff. He knows the sound he wants, and he will make that sound on that record. Come hell or high water, he's going to make that what he wants it to be, what he thinks you need to hear, what he wants you to hear. He wants you to hear what he hears.
Maybe the final kind of list of songs is not ready, but on an average,
Oh, the list of songs is ready. It's already there.
It's already
Absolutely.
there.
It's
Okay.
already there.
Okay. Wow. Well, can't wait to
Oh.
listen to that. Of
Believe
course.
me, I'm the same way. And just because I got to hear, it's like you couldn't record anybody. This is secret. Put your phone away and just listen.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that day. I really, honestly am.
Any idea on the release date? No, huh?
I wish I could tell you, but the truth is there are still some pretty nasty supply chain issues with vinyl.
Okay, yeah, okay.
They're 6-7
sure.
months out, and then you're told, hey, this is 4 months out, and then you get a surprise. No, we misjudged. Sorry. But it's ready to go.
All right, so let's talk about Creatures Fest.
All right.
Creatures Fest Day 1. The event began with a pool party. Now, can you tell us what was the thinking behind starting this event with a pool party?
We didn't have we weren't going to do the expo until Saturday. So there was really nothing to keep the people in town occupied. And Neil thought, well, okay, we've got all the talent here. Let's do a pool party. It's going to be warm. There's an awesome pool at the Sonesta Hotel. It's just a great pool. It's a great area outside. It's actually split between an inside and an indoor and outdoor pool.
Mm.
There's a glass wall that separates the two, but you can swim under the wall to get from inside to outside.
Nice.
And there's a pretty nice space outside. If you saw the videos and pictures, you can see how well kept it is. And Neil said, let's just use it. So, let's do something for them. And bit by bit, he put together a pool party. Initially, it was just, we'll just have Trickster out there doing an acoustic set and be done with it. And then it became, no, let's try something else. And then how it is, how it always was with the pre-parties too, is let's do this. And then midway through, you go, no, we can add this and make this bigger.
Right.
And that's exactly what Neil did. He made it bigger and bigger and bigger until it wouldn't get any bigger. And he had everything laid out. It was this perfect looking picture. And then one day he called me and said, I think I'm going to add Ace. Ace is going to be in town. If I announce him, I'll sell more tickets. And I was like, no, don't do that. Don't say anything. Let it be a surprise to people who are already there.
Oh, wow.
So, he decided, okay, that's a good idea. Let's just keep Ace a surprise. And when Ace wandered out there, I'm told, because I was in doing tickets, I was told that first there was silence and then there was an uproar.
That's
well,
a nice
of course,
surprise for the fans.
everybody was shocked when we saw Ace, coming up to the stage and play with the guys. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Ace himself, you have all these guys from the 70s and 60s and 80s who you go, there's a guitar god, but you get to Ace and you go, no, that's what a guitar god is.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiss fan or not, when you see him walk out on that stage, you're ready to hear something special.
So give us a visual. Who was playing? What was the fan reaction like?
Well, remember, like I said, I was in doing ticketing, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. I watched most of it through a window upstairs. I'd come out and look at the window and then go back to ticketing.
Okay.
But what I could see is a lot like the night that Vinny was there, smiles and just people watching, and that you could feel it upstairs, like you feel anything. There is that gut feeling that this is the family. Everybody is on the same page. We're all feeling the same thing. And who was it that coined that? The term "kiss bliss" that was coined on the first cruise, and I don't remember who it was. Do you remember who that was?
No.
But that was what it was. It was just this feeling of this is where we are one, we belong here.
It was an incredible event because, you know, initially when it was first advertised, it was, you know, Vinnie, Bruce, and Ace, the Holy Trinity, right?
Right.
And then, you know, watching this event over the weekend, you had moments in history throughout the weekend. You know, Peter playing with Ace, Vinnie playing on that amazing looking tank, the recreation of the Unplugged show with Bruce and the gang. You know, just moments of history. I wish I was there to witness all that, because you know, you were talking earlier on about, you know, topping the Cruise Fest. This cannot possibly ever be topped.
No, that's right.
You know,
exactly.
You know, they said that with Cruise Fest, and we raised the bar. I have no doubt in my mind that the bar can be raised even higher.
Well, when that happens, I want to be there.
There's always somebody out to say, I can do this better. And I have no doubt in my mind that Neil will look at this, and after he recovers,
I can imagine
40, 50, 60 years, he'll go, I can do this again. And he will.
Hey, Jay, now you touched on Ace, and I want to just ask you a couple of questions. So he opened up the first night, you know, the first one of the nightly shows, and so just for a moment, let's imagine that you have to write an editorial for a rock magazine. Okay, so what would you say? What would you review? How would you review the show?
Oh golly, probably something kitschy like, you may not believe in God, but you can believe in guitar gods. Ace Frehley is one, and just roll with it from there.
And well, I guess it's not an easy question, but who's your favorite Kiss guitar player? Is it Ace? Yeah, Lee. Lee.
Honestly, it's really, and it may sound like I'm on the fence, but I'm really not. It's I would have to say it's really a three-way tie there.
Yeah, it is.
And Ace was the progenitor. Without him, we would really not have Kiss. I don't believe in my heart of hearts that had they picked anybody else, that Kiss as we knew it would exist as we came to know it. He is the progenitor. Then you have Vinnie, who truly did breathe life back into the band. You know, Kiss was failing hard when he came in. Ace was gone, and they needed something. You know, people, the makeup was at that time just passé as hell. You know, it wasn't working. So him coming in for Creatures of the Night, and his credits are all over that record, and every song on there everybody knows. And then you get to Lick It Up, and his credits are on almost every song there. And without Lick It Up itself, that song itself that he wrote a big chunk of, where would we be right now? Would Lick It Up have succeeded without him? I have strong doubts about that. And then you get to Bruce. Bruce came in, and he was what they needed. You know, he was stable. He could play anything, and we've witnessed this. The man can play anything you throw at him, anything at all. And he managed to last, what, almost 10 years. Yeah. 86 to 96.
Mm-hmm.
And turned in some of the most memorable solos and leads you could ever hear.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I say between the three of them, it is a tie. I mean, sure, you had Mark St. John, but he was there for like half a second. Like, hi, bye. You know, he didn't even get to finish announcing his name.
Yeah. But it all comes to what Paz was saying before. You know, getting these guys together at an event, and it defines a very specific era of Kiss. You know, so there was there was la crème de la crème. You
Absolutely.
have everything. You have everything. So, which other bands were playing the first night, Jay? And
Oh golly, see, I have to look at my notes for that. We had Easy N, John Karabi, and Kor Razik that first night.
okay, how's John Karabi? Did you have the chance to
Karabi
be
is
at the
awesome.
show?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
stayed. I got to see a good chunk of that. Karabi is always awesome. He puts everything he has into his set. You go out there, he's not running around the stage like David Lee Roth or Paul. He sits there, he does his stuff, and you can feel the air around him coming towards him, and then going poof with each
Yeah.
song.
It's true.
He is a professional, absolutely,
Yeah.
top to bottom.
He's quite unique. Quite unique.
Into day two, the Saturday, and a lot of it in the afternoon was filled with meet and greets. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But there was also the Expo City, which is basically the Expo part of the event. Who are some of the dealers and what was being sold? Do you remember?
Oh, tons of kiss crap. Tons and tons and tons of kiss crap. We had, and you know this gentleman, David Tagnoli P.
Yeah, of course.
He is Kiss Replicas. He brought his usual setup, and there's nothing there that you can't look at and go, I want this. Just some amazing work the man does. He costumes Gene. He does the Sammy. He's got some pretty bloody authentic stuff out there. Then we had Kenny fucking Begley, you know that, and Joe Odell.
Yeah.
They were, Kiss Haven and Kiss Picks. Steve Stairwalt was there. He used to work with Keith LaRue, and that was Kiss Army Warehouse. He had tons and tons of shirts. He did his usual, here's my shirts, they're full price today. Come back next day. Oh, I can buy 5 for $1. Yay!
Yeah.
God, JT Thunderbird Art was there. Jim Irwin was there. He's a fellow cruiser. Jim. He was there. He was selling some of his Kiss stuff. There were Dominic Coate was there. Santa Freemoth was there. The entire, almost the entire top level cadre of KLA was there. Peter Corey, obviously.
Right.
Lori Georgievich was there. So, it was a lot of Kiss crap and some not so much Kiss crap, but it was all great.
Man, it was a who's who of Kiss fans there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also that, I believe it was that afternoon, right? That Quarantine performed?
Quarantine performed that afternoon. Put on a pretty solid show for, I don't know, the 2 songs that I got to see before I had to run back to ticketing. Chris Jericho, a lot like with Fozzy, is extremely energetic on the stage, extremely loud. Boisterous is probably a better word.
Mm-hmm.
He plays to the fans, and he loves his fans. And he knows how to keep them engaged between every song, and their set was great.
So we were talking off air. Oftentimes you missed a lot of the events because of your obligations with as an organizer. Did that hurt you in a sense that you couldn't be a part of something because you were working the event?
Oh, sure, absolutely. It's you take it as part of the job. When we did the pre-party, we were always like, I want to go see this, and something would happen that you just can't. Other things took precedent. And for me, it was trying to keep things together at ticketing. We had hundreds of people wanting to come in and get their tickets and get all their swag. And we had 3 of us in there, then 4 of us trying to get it all. And it's difficult to make sure everybody who comes in gets their things, because everybody doesn't come in and say, just give me my tickets. They want to ask a lot of questions. They have every right to ask those questions, and you've got to be able to have those answers for them. And
right.
Sometimes we couldn't because we hadn't been told something. So I would have to run off, I'd say, let me go answer that for you. I'd go talk to somebody and get the answer that I needed, then come running back and apologize and give them their answer, then sit down for a couple seconds, do a couple more tickets, or Lydia would, or Hannah would. Everybody took their turns, and they're handling people, talking to people, and just making sure stuff got done, because that is ticketing. And you've heard me say this before, ticketing is almost more important than anything else in the event, because that is people's first contact.
Yeah.
That sets the mood. And if ticketing takes a dump, they're going to be unhappy for a good chunk of the rest of the day, because that's what they remember. That's that first impression.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Did you happen to see the Todd Kearns and Brett Fitz experience? I didn't see much
No.
of that online.
Guess who was in ticketing?
Right,
No, that was right across the hall from us, and the doors were shut. I haven't seen much about it, but I heard the ukulele bit was really hilarious.
right.
And now we're getting into the Saturday night, with our dear friend Vinnie Vincent. So can you share with us a little bit of a review of that performance?
In a single word, it was amazing.
Okay.
To expand on it, I mean, we don't have like 3 hours, so let me say this to start. To see him on stage, and I have been to several his events in Nashville. He does them at Sir. He brings in 30 or 40 people. He sells a limited number of tickets. You go in and you hang out with him for a couple of days. He plays a ton of stuff, and you get to know him on a personal level. But to see him that night climb up on that tank and watching the fog roll out and the way the lights were shining against him, a lot of people say he had too many chances. He knows that this was his chance at that brass ring again, and God's honest truth, and pardon the French, motherfucker grabbed it and didn't let go. He played his heart out. He shredded like crazy. And between watching that happen, then a couple minutes later, I'd watch a couple minutes of that, and then I'd walk outside and walk around the corner and watch people who are out in the hall, and they're just hearing it and wondering, who is that? Is that really him? Is that just a record? When are they going to let us in? When are they going to let us in? When are they going to let us in? In fact, even Becca, who Pasquale knows, was out in the hall and said, cough, cough, we're getting bored out here. So, they were happy to hear this, but they wanted in. Where is Vinnie? We want to see Vinnie. And the doors opened. And while I wasn't out there to see that part, I saw it from the inside. People coming in. I kind of imagine it was sort of like, meeting Oz, where you go in and the doors open and there's all these lights and everything is green and
right.
I finally made it. And he's up there on that tank just shredding away with the lighting on him and the fog against him in shafts. And it was one of those moments in life where you go speechless because this is the moment everybody's been waiting for 30 years.
Exactly.
He's playing live in front of a crowd. No more will there be Vinnie doesn't exist. Vinnie won't play. Vinnie won't show up. Vinnie won't do this. Vinnie won't do that.
No more of that. Yeah.
He came, he saw, and in the end, he kicked ass.
Yeah. There you go. Well, thank you for that. We know that a couple of bands were supposed to open for Vinnie, but instead, they played after him. So so first of all, which bands were those? And do you think that it made a difference whether they played before or after Vinnie?
Kind of. I think Vinnie's goal was to leave people speechless, and he did that. And there was a 15-minute break between when he left and when Pretty Boy Floyd came on. And I would say maybe 2/3 of the crowd returned for Pretty Boy Floyd. I felt bad in that respect because people, it was almost like a disrespectful act to not come back. But as a Kiss fan, I know what they were there to see. They were there to see Vinnie. And by him going on first, he gave them the cherry before the cake.
Yeah.
And that's really what they wanted. He was so hyped up about showing the world he could still play, that he can still play, that he can do it live, and that he is every bit the excellence of execution that he has purported himself to be over the years, and that fans have said he is. And he did that. And then Pretty Boy Floyd came on, and I'm not gonna lie, they kicked ass. They put on a great show. They played to the audience. The audience loved it. Vixen came on, and they Vixened. I didn't get to see Vixen. I was kind of sad about that because that was one of the bands I really, 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 really want to see since I've never seen them live. But had to go do other things that required, an adult. So it worked out well. The fans were happy. Vinnie got his moment of essentially
glory
flipping
again.
the bird to the naysayers.
Yeah.
No, I think what Vinny did was completely unconventional. It was something that we've never seen before. Yeah, I can
Absolutely.
imagine standing in line and wait a minute, is that Vinny playing? And it's building the
Yeah,
anticipation. And then
exactly.
when you walk in, you're not there to a blank curtain, to a black curtain or an empty stage. He's already playing. So the minute you walk in there, you're just super excited, and the show
Yeah.
continues from there. Was that part of the overall plan, or is that a last minute thing? Because that was well done.
That was a pretty much last minute thing. As far as last minute things go, it was decided about 2 weeks earlier, I think,
Okay.
that Vinny is going to go on. Initially, the plan was to just have the doors open and let them hear. And then, no, we'll keep them shut. And we'll just have him in there playing. You know, he wanted initially to play for like half an hour to really build the excitement. And I can tell you, he can do that. In his solo shows at SIR, he can play for an hour or more, just wailing away. And he will play a little bit of every song he's ever done. And if you're paying attention, you hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what he wanted to do there. And then it was decided, no, let's just give him a few minutes, build up the excitement, because if we do what you're talking about, they're going to run it and hurt themselves, because everybody can be jockeying for first position.
Yeah.
So we did it 7-10 minutes of shredding, and then let him come in and did another 10 minutes or so, and it worked out well. It's very unconventional, because normally the headliner, and make no mistake, Vinny is a headliner.
Mm-hmm.
Normally they go last, because that's the whole point of the night. Build up and build up and build up. But he did the build up by playing before they came in.
And ironically, if he went last, it wouldn't have had the impact that it had when he went first.
Exactly. Bit for doing that. That was an amazing idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned many times the word unconventional, and I think the nature of this whole event was unconventional, and it was great. It was great.
It really was. You don't get a whole lot of opportunities in life to do something that you can say, I'm really glad I did that. These events, I'm really glad I've done them, because 15-year-old me would be kicking whatever age I am now, me in the balls, if I didn't and had the opportunity. You're going, you idiot, why aren't you?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I just have to say thank you for every opportunity that doing these things has given me. I work with some amazing people, and I will tell you up front, Rosie was a saving grace during Cruise Fest, and I didn't get to see her a whole lot during Creatures Fest, because she was always, tugging at Neil's shirt, going, "What can I do now? What can I do now?" and Neil, of course, was always calling her, "Do this now, do this now," and she was running back and forth like crazy. She got a lot of stuff done. She made sure people were where they were supposed to be when they needed to be there. And, it's a team thing. And that's what I'm saying. You don't get a lot of opportunities like this to work with people that understand it and get it, and to have the joy of meeting the people that you grew up admiring. And meeting Peter, Chris, even for the couple seconds that it was, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old me was just inside crying. And I will tell you what, when Bruce and Ace joined Vinny on that stage, I did shed tears. I absolutely did. There weren't a lot of them, because, I'm a big guy, I can't do that. But you got, they were in the corners of my eyes, and I was fighting it back, because there's not a lot of chance it's going to happen again, short of the very last Kiss show.
Right.
Of course.
It's day 3, the final day. And like I said earlier, it's, next to impossible to keep up with everything that was happening at Creatures Fest online. As much as we tried keeping up, it was very difficult. For example, the Bruce Kulick lunch experience. I didn't see anything on that. Can you shed some light on what that was about?
People got to eat with Bruce. There was probably 40 people.
Okay.
They got to eat with him, and he would tell stories about the road, and they took some pictures, and it was pretty much informal. It's like eating with family.
Right.
And we get right back to that whole Kiss family thing. These guys, you view them and you see them like this, and they're like family. Bruce is one of the most down-to-earth people you will ever meet.
Yeah. Incredible. Just something else that's so amazing that was added on Creatures Fest that just made it that much more special. And what about the Kiss Army Comedy Night, or the comedy that was the opener for the concerts, right?
Sort of. So what happened was the show got pushed back a little bit for that night, and comedy, because of some production issues, comedy was moved back out to Expo City. And that was Craig Gass and Izzy and Todd and Zach, or Brent and Zach, I can't remember. Todd and Zach, sorry. Todd and Zach and Courtney, and they all came on and did their bits. And you've seen Craig Gass, I remember him from the first cruise, and when he almost got the panicked everybody, the ship is sinking. If you would like to buy a package to get off the boat, no. Some of us remember that, and some of us remember the idiots in the hall going, "Are they serious?" No. But
what about that? What about that cruiser who went missing? Remember her?
Cindy
what was her name?
Michelle Allman.
Yes. Oh my God.
Cindy Michelle Allman, could you please report to the 6-man offices? Could you please call us every 15 freaking minutes for what? 4 hours?
Yeah.
Cindy Michelle Allman.
Unbelievable.
But no, the comedy night was really good. It was just a sort of a chance to blow off some steam, sit down, relax, and have some laughs. And Craig's material is always awesome. Courtney's was great. Todd and Zach, they were awesome. Courtney wrote most of Zach's stuff. That's why he would keep on looking. He would be doing it and pointing at, that's also Courtney wrote that. Courtney wrote that. And if something flopped, Courtney definitely wrote that. And that was good. And then we got Alan Jonasson, who very good friend of mine. He's a vet, and he got up there and brought some tears to the audience, because that's what he does, talking about the point of what Memorial Day is.
Okay.
And we did a moment of silence, and he said a few words, and then it was, all right, everybody, concert time, and Expo City emptied to go get up and go get in line for Bruce.
Nice.
So then, talking about Bruce, so amazing, what Bruce gives us, as Kiss fans. So he closed the night of concerts, and can you share with us a little bit of a review of the show, Jay?
Oh God, yeah. So Sisters Doll started. They're from down under. They had been begged for, pleaded for, screamed for, shouted for, sworn for by Kiss fans almost since the very first cruise. Get Sisters Doll. They're not on the cruise. They are at Creatures Fest. So we got them, but the reason that we got them was because they were going to play with Peter Criss. So they did some songs, and Peter then came out and did a couple songs, and like any other time you see Peter out there singing that stuff, he's not done yet. He's got a lot left in him, and there is, from what I saw, positively no reason for him not to get back on the stage with Kiss at that final show.
Yeah, he's still got it, man. It's unbelievable.
Whether or not in makeup, it doesn't matter. We just want to see him on that stage with the guys who got that band going, who and meant so much to us. No matter what age you got involved with Kiss, it's always the same. It touches you in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah, it is.
So we had him with Sisters Doll. He did a few songs with them, and then Quiet Riot came on, blew the audience away. Rudy Sarzo, just amazing to watch in action. That was the first time I've really seen him up close. I was kind of hoping, we might get like something from Ozzy. I'm not going to mention the song out there, but we didn't get that. It was all Quiet Riot stuff, and it was great. And we got to hear Slick Black Cadillac live, and Come Out Feel the Noise, all the important stuff.
Yeah.
And then Bruce came out, and his usual phenomenal job, he blew the audience away with a full set of Revenge. Every song on Revenge, a couple extras, and there is nothing you can say bad about any show Bruce does. He gets out there, he's got the most amazing band backing him up, and I hesitate really even to say backing him up. I think they are really all equals when they're on that stage.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I don't see any of them looking at him like, this is the boss, I better be careful. It's there is some serious camaraderie on that stage with Bruce.
Yeah.
And they play so perfectly, so well oiled, and even though you know it's rehearsed to death, it still feels off the cuff.
Yeah.
And that, that's a sign of a real professional. And Bruce is everything in that.
He plays so much amazing stuff. I can't imagine, being there, witnessing, the whole revenge thing played out. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
The fact that I get to hear "Thou Shalt Not" every time he plays. That's what makes
That's
the show
right.
for me.
That's
What
it.
makes the show for me. The Gene songs that are essentially saying "I succeeded in spite of you." Like "I Trial by Fire," "Thou Shalt Not." Those things. Those are all. I did this. You said I couldn't, and I did. And those are the things that I latched onto as a kid. Yeah.
True. So true.
Ironically, that's also the belief with Creatures Fest, right? Vinnie wasn't going to come on, and I hope this isn't going to. This probably won't be a success. And hey, look, it was just an incredible part of history.
It is, and I can't lie. It's difficult to still see some of that now after the fact, but all I can say to people who talk like that is I was there.
Yeah,
I saw the looks on those people's faces. I saw the smiles. I saw the tears. I saw the widest range of emotions that I have ever seen in any place at any one time.
I remember years ago, I went to the New York Kiss Expo with Peter Criss. That was the week before Peter did his last show at the Cutting Room. And that expo was, I guess from an insider's point of view, it was a mess. I could imagine from an outsider's point of view. But I was there, and I remember how excited I was to meet Peter Criss at the meet and greet the first day, to be on that bus for the New York tour with Peter Criss. Oh my God, you can't beat that. You're on a tour bus with Peter Criss in the middle of New York City,
Yeah.
And he's telling you about all the historic places. That was the thing.
Incredible. So I don't care what people think about the organization. It's like you need to, if you were there, whatever little minutia of details with the organization, it wouldn't have mattered because you're with Peter Criss, or you're watching Vinnie Vincent, or you're seeing Bruce Kulick. You can't compare. You can't. If you're there, it's a whole different experience. It really is. You can't.
Of course,
it really is.
Of course.
Gene used to say, remember when he was doing The Apprentice, and they had to go to Kodak and present something.
Yeah.
He came up with "It's a Kiss. It's a Kodak world. Welcome." And we look at these things and go, "No, it's a Kiss world. Welcome."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way you approach these things. This is Kiss world. Come on in. We'll give you some makeup. We'll show you how to stick your tongue out. We'll show you how to prance on stage. We'll show you that purple is not really as horrible a color as some people think. And you'll see the world in a whole new light.
Yeah. So true.
Now, the final part I want to talk about on Cruise Fest are the meet and greets. Again, something else that you think it's like any other meet and greet, like at any other expo. This one has to be different. The Peter Criss specifically, the meet and greet, where he was on the background with the sticks up in the air and the cross, and the person in front. That was so cool.
It was. I believe it was Dale Benson who came up with the majority of those backdrop designs.
Okay.
He also did the cats. He made those cats, and he was there. His first day there, he got off the plane, came in, and immediately touched them up. Didn't do anything else. Was like, the cats need to be fixed. Let me go do that. He takes immense pride in his work, and he wanted that to be perfect. And those pictures that you see with Peter, if that doesn't elicit a memory for you and touch something in here, you got nothing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what else does? Exactly. Yeah.
No, when I saw that, it was reminiscent of a picture that Linda Lesio took, sort of like the same pose.
Right.
Exactly.
I've never seen anything like it. That was just an incredible picture. Incredible. And what were the other concepts for the other? I know Ace had the obviously the stars and the blue backdrop. I think Bruce had the red.
And Vinnie was on the tank.
Right. Yeah, Vinnie was on the tank. Yeah. Just every little detail was thought about on Creatures Fest, and I'm really happy that the organizers, you guys, pulled this off. But I'm really happy for the fans who were there to experience it, because they've experienced something really special.
Oh God, things like that, they come together in a way that at first it looks impossible, and when it's happening, you're going, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there were some little kids there that just, this made their entire life for them.
Mhm.
There's one little girl, Belle, she got to meet her idols. She was 7 years old. I took her and her mom over to meet David P. And then, she was like, first she saw Sammy and ran away. And then she came right back and, she talked to David and the other meet and greets. Everybody who she met, she absolutely loved her. She did great at the meet and greets. What else? There was I wish I could remember his name, and his mom's probably going to send me a nastygram after this. He's autistic. He dressed as Ace. He participated in the fan jam. Did a great job. Impressed Ace. Ace said, "Just bring him in. I want to talk to him." So it's about the kids. At this point, it really is. It's not so much about looking at it from the standpoint of kids just trying to keep their empire. It's the standpoint of, this is not the boy band crap that we're forced with. This is something real that takes talent, and these kids are latching onto that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to be honest, Jay. On the Kiss Army Nation podcast, we often pre-record our episodes, and we put episodes in the bank, so we're usually like 3 episodes ahead.
Right.
And Claudia and I really wanted this episode to be time sensitive. Recorded, today's Wednesday, recorded just after Creatures Fest, where the memories are there and fresh. And we're going to release this on Sunday. I wanted to release this episode as quickly as possible because I wanted the fans to know firsthand from one of the organizers, how amazing Creatures Fest was and how much of a positive experience it was for everybody involved. And I really hope this show brought that forward to everybody.
Oh, I think it did, and I would be remiss if I, didn't point out the people that were involved with this and made it come together, because it was a team effort, and Neil led the charge. Neil made magic happen by getting Bruce, Ace, and Vinnie together on that stage at the same time. If Peter had been up there, then I would say, okay, there's no way to raise the bar any higher, but that would be the next bar.
Yeah.
Neil made this happen. He had Brian Bell working with him, Dale Walter, Dale Benson, myself, Rosie, Neil's wife, Katie. Everybody had a part in this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the right team, amazing stuff happens. Amazing stuff happens.
Absolutely.
We were chatting, with Pascal, and we could have died to be there, because we could see even through, pictures and what people were posting on Facebook and you could feel that, as you said that at the beginning, it was a family, it was like a one for all, it's a we are one. So that's congrats, and kudos for the team. Did a fantastic job.
And I will tell you this: the meet and greets were probably my favorite part of the whole thing, because seeing those people come out and the joy on their faces. Chuck Edgar, for one, Chuck was about to nut. His whole goal forever has been to finally meet Peter and finish off his collection. And we had a lady, her name was Evie Martin Friend, who was going to go for Peter, and she couldn't. So she contacted me and asked if I could find somebody. Now, Pasquale knows me, and he knows that I'm going to do things like that fairly. Just because I know Chuck doesn't mean I'm going to hand it off to him, because there were other people in front of him who had reached out to me first. It just so happened that none of the 7 people in front of him bothered to reply. So Chuck got it, and he came out of that meet and greet, and he was crying. I didn't expect that. You could see that this was something that really meant something to him.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what I'm saying. I think the meet and greets were really probably my favorite part of everything, just watching people finally get to meet these guys. Vinnie, Ace, Peter, Bruce, Brent and Todd. Enough's enough. Pretty Boy Floyd, Dale Torborg, the guys.
Yeah, I met him.
The Jolly Green Giant looks up at him. That's how tall.
Yeah. Hey Jay, we're wrapping up now the show, and we wanted to thank you for your time, and just as an organizer of Preachers Fest, how would you rate this event compared to other KISS-related events, such as, the pre-KISS cruise events and parties and expos? How would you rate that?
Well, I have a vested interest in the pre-party, so I don't know how honest I can be. But honestly, this knocked it so far out of the park that none of the others really come close. I thought my first one with Bruce Kulick was, you can't top that, and every year it's been topped. But this is like, you had this bar here, let's say 10 feet. Creatures Fest is about 4,000 feet.
Yeah, what else
That's
can
how
you
tall
do?
that bar is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's now 2:00 in the morning in France, I believe, right, Claudio?
Yes, sir.
So we want you to get some sleep before you check out tomorrow. And where is it you're going?
Barcelona.
You're going to Barcelona
nice.
tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to Barcelona
Nice.
tomorrow. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
So we're gonna wrap up the show, but on a personal level, I don't want to wrap up without saying, Jay, thank you so much for being on the show. For me, it's surreal having you here because we met on KISS Cruise 1 so many years ago, and been friends ever since. We shared so much ups and downs, and we were talking off air. A lot of bizarre stuff happening in the KISS world.
This is the truth.
And you know what? We're still here. We're still talking, and we're doing a podcast together.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being on the show, for giving us your insight from somebody who was there to share with the fans the success of Creatures Fest. And thank you so much for everything you do for the fans, that you've done for the fans throughout your history. Thank you.
Thank you, Pasquale.
I have to second, what Pas was saying. I never had the chance to meet you, but it's such a pleasure, to spend this hour with you, and I can't wait to meet you sometime, in person. Again, thank you so much for everything that you guys did for Creatures Fest, and now looking forward for the next one. So we'll see what you guys you can come up with.
We're just going to get God himself to come down on it.
Pretty much.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you, guys.
Jay.
It's been awesome.
So to the KISS Army, if you want to get involved with the KISS Army Nation podcast, send us your comments, questions, or ideas to talktome@kissarmynationpodcast.com. So thank you so much for listening. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify, Podomatic, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to make yourself heard. Leave us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. See you all soon, KISS Army.